How you negotiate in a buyer's market is different to how you negotiate in a seller's market. And right now, it's buyer's market. We're going to tell you about putting in your first offer. How low do you go? Stay tuned. Billy Bob, how are you?
I'm good.
Good,
You?
bro. Pull that microphone up closer to you. There you go.
Like a radio host.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Good weekend.
Great weekend. Been doing a lot of walking lately.
Walking's good. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Absolutely. How's your weekend?
Yeah, really good. I went to a place called Scary Canary, and I told the parents about Scary Canary, and they said, "Were there any canaries there?" And I said, "Yeah, there were some canaries."
Couple of canaries.
Yeah, no, it was a good weekend. Good weekend. But this is a good topic because I think a lot of people are having this. These thoughts right now. How low do you go on your first offer? Because can it actually be a bit, I guess, counterproductive if you go too low? Kind of piss the real estate agent off, get off on the wrong foot. Does it backfire?
I reckon it definitely does. Because look, I think there's two people in that. There's three people in the negotiation. There's often the middleman and the buyer and the seller. If there's not a buyer's agent involved, and I think that if you do go really, really low, you can offend, you can insult not only a real estate agent, but also, which is part of the negotiation, but also the seller. I think you've got to have really good grounds for your offer, strength of your offer. Just good reason around it.
Yeah, I like what you said before off air, and Luke's commented here. Knowing the market, if you can put some, reasoning behind your offer, if it's maybe below the guide, put some comparables in there, then at least you don't look like a bit of a muppet, just throwing a number forward. And maybe that agent can communicate that to the landlord. To the owner.
Yes, I think step one is because you've got to remember the buyers out there. You've got to remember that price is being set on the property by the vendor, and every vendor has a different perception. So often people say to me, "Look, should I just make it 10% off what's being asked? Should I make it 20% less off what's being asked? Should I make it at the guide? Should I make it 5% over the guide?" There isn't really a percentage because it's so variable depending on the vendor's setting of the price. If the vendor's setting the price at a super realistic level or even a conservative level, you may even consider offering over the guide. So it really does depend, I think, on where market value is on that property. And you've got a pretty good idea as a buyer, because this is what buyers forget, Billy. Buyers forget that they're seeing more property in that price range than the real estate agent that's showing the property. They're seeing more property in that price range than the vendor is seeing, because the vendor's not going out to see 32-bedroom units in DY or 22-bedroom units in DY, nor is the agent. They haven't physically walked through them all, but the buyer has. So you've got a really good barometer of what's good value and not good value. And you often think the agent's the pro in price setting, or the vendor knows what they're doing, but often the buyer's got that experience.
Yeah, and I loved when we spoke off air, you're saying you're not negotiating with, or it's not the, it's not the landlord that, although they're, the middleman in this negotiation, you're not competing with the agent on price. It's, you're actually talking to someone behind, and that's going to make.
Sorry, I can't hear, mate. What'd you say?
You're talking to you're negotiating with the seller, not really the real estate agent, if you know what I mean. Like when it comes down to price,
the agent's the middleman. The agent's the middleman, and I think what's really, really important when you're making that first offer is definitely to get a response, not from the agent, but from the seller. The seller's the decision maker. So how low do you go when you're making an offer on a property? I think you've got to look at what's a fantastic buy for the property, and where you think it's almost irrelevant to what's being asked on the property. Look at what you think's fair in terms of the price. Maybe take off about 5% to what you think's fair, and then have a go. And most importantly, reduce your conditions when you're making an offer. So talk about the strength of your offer. Talk about how long you can take to perform on it, being pretty quick. That you are finance approved, because a lot of people are not. That you got your deposit ready, because some people don't. Your lawyer's ready, because some people aren't ready with a lawyer. And give people that strength that, it's not just, because an offer is not just the dollars and cents on the table, it's everything else associated with it, like the settlement period, like how long it'll take for you to produce that contract. So if you give that certainty around all the other aspects of the negotiation as well as price, that gives the agent, information and strength to take to the vendor who's making the decision.
Now, would you say the terms are more important in a buyer's market than they are in a roaring hot market? Or is it always the same?
I think the terms in a buyer's market seem to be more complex because in a seller's market, the seller almost names their terms, and it's quite sort of walk away in their approach. Like it's like take it or leave it, because if you don't do this, another buyer will. Whereas I think at the moment we're finding, being a buyer's market that we're in, the buyers are really naming their terms that they want, or modifying them around. There's actually more time, rather than just strangling 4 buyers and pushing them through an auction. Now everyone's a lot more amenable to doing a deal and negotiating some terms and making it work for both parties. And there's time there now. It's not like bang, 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 make it happen. It's sort of deals are meshing that little bit more.
Now, have you ever seen a vendor give a discount if they know it's like a first home buyer, or an old person downsizing or something like that?
Compassion.
A compassionate 5% off. Is that a thing?
Look, it's definitely a thing. I think when you've got a great backstory, it's nice to pass your home onto someone that's got that great backstory. So, I know I've had vendors accept an offer, 100,000. Another offer comes along, 100,000 more, and the vendors are like, nah, I'm just happy to sell it to these guys who I've accepted out of principle. And then also I think vendors start to connect a little bit with their buyers as well. And, if you've got a family home where you brought up 2 or 3 kids, and the people buying your age when you bought, they're coming out of a unit and they're buying a house. Yeah, definitely. I think the backstory definitely helps. Absolutely.
Because, Luke summed it up pretty well. It's about relationships, reputation, making it easy for people, I think, is a big one. I think nothing's worse as far as communicating goes with a real estate agent when you make a verbal offer or you show some interest and then you just stop replying altogether. And because obviously this stuff gets passed on to the vendor, it's sometimes a bit confusing when you're in and out on communication.
Yeah, look, I think open communication is a big one. And to give you an example, if you're making an offer, so as a real estate agent, How many times I've heard people say, look, I've left 3 or 4 messages for that agent and I haven't got a call back. Like, what a shocking way to start a negotiation. So I think, when you're making your first offer as a buyer, to be readily available is just really, really important. Or setting it up, just saying, look, I'm a school teacher between 9 and 3. I will be hard to contact, but outside of those hours is good, because if it's an active negotiation with a vendor, the vendor's often wondering where's the buyer gone, and that can happen with that. So I think that's a good one. Just being an open contact's huge.
Yeah, given the context, that is huge. And let's face it, we've all got kind of awkward hours in the day where you just can't be on the mobile. We're quite lucky because we're always online. But yeah, where you can't be on the phone, just giving some context it's huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else?
So how low can you go on making an offer on your first property? I think, I generally make sure it's substantiated and you've provided that substantiation. What's less to say? Don't kid yourself. The market is flat. Tom Panos sold 7 out. Oh, don't kid yourself that the market is flat. Tom Panos sold 7 of 8 properties on Saturday. Plenty of buyers. Don't outsmart whatever it said. Speed is a huge factor. So the terms is just huge. The terms is just huge of what you can do on a purchase. But I think, substantiate your price with your real estate agent, and when you're making an offer, go low. But, as long as you're getting a good buy, we're selling properties 10% over in some circumstances what's being asked, because buyers can see that it's an excellent price. It's valued, really, really well, probably above that guide. So I think 10% low, move fast, substantiate it. Terms are important, and that's it.
That's it. Yep. Put it forward. You just got to put it forward. And it's like putting an offer forward is a free question as well. So you've got to ask if you've got some interest there, I think. No point.
I love that. And Billy, another thing what people do is people will, it's really interesting, and I really don't agree with it. People will go and see 10 properties during a day, or 20 properties during 2 weeks, and they will make an offer on one. The one they will make the offer on is generally the one that they think is the best priced. That property doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to sell it for the lowest price.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people, like on the back of what you just said, it's free. I would encourage people to see 20 properties over 2 weeks, make an offer on 5 or 10 of them that suit, because you may be shocked where you get a call back a month later or 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later going, I know you submitted this offer. Would you proceed with that now? And it's like, shit, that's a really good buy. And that could be the property that wasn't priced the sharpest out of those 20 properties. So be careful and don't be sucked in by price.
That's really true. And if you're asking, that's even, more important, why you should be asking for a counter offer right at the start. So you know where they're sitting price-wise and regionally and where it might go. That's some good advice. That's some really good advice. And the other thing is, it was funny. I was talking with a buyer yesterday at an open home, and it wasn't even a first home buyer. That's what kind of surprised me. And we were chatting in the kitchen, likes the property, and it's like, so what do I do next? And it's like the whole process of making an offer, she just seems so nervous about. So, you're not obligated to go through with anything once you've made that first offer. It's just the style of negotiation. So you got to ask the question.
And I think it's a lot of it's in your head. You can often think about it, try to dumb it down and make it really simple in your head, like you're doing a simple transaction, not a big transaction, just to help you, go through it. But you can imagine people would be pretty anxious sometimes about it.
Yeah, it's big. That's it though.
That's a show. How low can you go? Billy, what's on for today?
We've got a busy day. We've got some new properties coming on. We've got always some admin to tidy up. But I'm most excited to see some of these new properties coming on. First time we're getting through them.
Got some nice ones. All right, let's everyone have a beautiful week. The weather's a cracker.
Still good. Still good.
It's going to be awesome. Cheers, man.
See you
Take
later.
care. Bye.
Bye.